Welcome back to Strategically Styled. My name is Lisa. I'm a woman over 50 and this channel is dedicated to helping you achieve your style goals. And to that end, today I'm going to be talking about how to transform the clothes you already own using fabric dye. So you don't want to miss it, so don't. But first, I will ask, like I do, if at any point, at any time you find yourself liking this video, I appreciate it if you click the thumbs up and like the video. Consider clicking the subscribe button and joining this community, and click the notification bell so you will be notified when new content is uploaded. Please and thank you. So now let me show you my outfit of the day. My outfit of the day is a pair of Sam Edelman loafers that I got from Amazon a few years ago, a pair of jeans that I got from JCPenney also probably a couple years ago. I don't know if they're still available, but if they are, I will link them down below. This top is thrifted for 25 cents, and the blazer I thrifted from Poshmark, and it is an Evan Picone tweed blazer, and that is the look. However, what I want to do is shout out this top, because this simple little 25-cent top, when I purchased it over the summer, it was a totally different color. If I have a good before picture, I will show it to you. But it was like this melony color, a pretty color. However, one entire side of the top had been sun damaged and it was discolored. Hence the need for the dyeing. This top is 100% nylon, and as a result, it is recommended to dye it on the stove top because the temperature must maintain 140 degrees throughout the process. I am using this giant pot that was part of a turkey fryer, as I am not one who fries turkeys, but it's a nice deep pot, and I thought it would be a good choice in case there was any splattering or splashing or bubbling over or anything. There wasn't, but I was prepared just in case. Following the directions, you need to make sure the item that you are dyeing is clean, try to remove any stains, and it should still be damp when you add it to the dye bath. To prepare the dye bath, I added the dye, and I just used the entire bottle for this one top because I wanted it to be as dark as possible. And you should know when you are dyeing, things are going to dry lighter than they appear when they're wet. So I didn't want to mess around and have to do it again. So I used the whole bottle. You're supposed to add a little dish detergent and a cup of vinegar. You were supposed to use 3 gallons of water. I probably could have gotten away with like 2 gallons for just one top, but I would just follow the directions, You add the top and you continuously stir it. And for me, continuously meant every few minutes, and then walk away and do something else and come back and stir it because you want it to dye evenly. They recommend doing it for 30 minutes up to an hour. I opted for the full hour again because I wanted it to dry as dark as possible. And then you're going to rinse it out until the dye runs clear. And then once that happens, you're putting it in your washing machine and washing it regular with a mild detergent. And you're supposed to add a towel to the washing machine to further absorb any residual dye. I forgot to add the towel, but it worked out okay. And here we are. Again, I feel like the shirt came out pretty much dead on match for the color on the bottle, but it also depends on what color the garment is to begin with. And because mine was so light and I was going so dark, it worked out. Happy endings. What I also will say about this process is I was not prepared for how horrible the dye smelled when using it in the house. And in retrospect, maybe I could have put on my ventilation fan or done something, but it was a really, really intensely bad smell. So make sure you have plenty of ventilation and govern yourself accordingly. Also on dyeing day, I took the opportunity to dye a pair of shoes. These shoes, which were also thrifted back in April from a thrift store in Columbus, Ohio called the Ohio Thrift Store. Yes, that is the actual name of the store. And they are these ivory suede shoes. And I knew when I saw them, because there was like a dark scuff on one that wouldn't come out, that I was going to be dyeing them. It was only a question of what color. So I got this dye from Amazon, and you see the glare on the box, but I'll put in a picture just to show you. It comes in a little bottle with an applicator. I already knew that this was going to have an overwhelming smell because I've used this dye in times past. So I did that outside on the deck, putting down a lot of cardboard to protect said deck from the dye. I blotted it a little bit and I just began to put it on. While it was still damp, I applied a second coat and I allowed it to dry overnight, also outdoors. So if you're going to do that, check the weather to make sure you can leave them outside to dry, because even when they're drying, the smell, it's smelling, and it's not a pleasant smell. So the final result I will show you, but as you can see, it came out kind of okay, but weirdly there's areas of discoloration where it's more of a reddish brown instead of the chocolatey brown that I had anticipated. So I suppose this means I need to add another coat. But all in all, I mean, I still wore them anyway the next day to church. So I think after I apply one more coat, then I will achieve shoe dyeing success. I also have a bag of black clothes. One of them is the husband's shirt and it has some bleach spots on it. And I'm going to dye that, as well as just another couple of shirts that just are a little faded and need re-blackened. If I manage to accomplish this before it's time for me to post this video, I will share that with you as well. Otherwise, I will share it in the future. Speaking of shoes, I did want to give you an update on my painted shoes. A while ago, I spray painted a pair of shoes. Yes, spray painted. They were brown leather shoes that I had thrifted from Poshmark, and genuine leather. So what I did was I deglazed them with some rubbing alcohol, allowed that to dry, and then I spray painted it with this gold Krylon spray paint. I allowed that to dry, and I did about 3 coats, and then I topped it off with the clear matte spray for a protective purposes. Allowed that to dry, and then I proceeded to wear the shoes repeatedly, and probably over the span of 6 weeks, I wore them a few times a week on a regular basis. I did not document all of the wearing of the shoes, but I wore them nonetheless. For the most part, I think they held up okay. However, I will show you here, hopefully this is visible, on the back of the shoe, there's been some peeling, obviously on the strap that goes in and out of the strap holder situation. And in the front, pretty much anywhere where the foot bends, you can see the cracks and you can see the brown creeping through. So I may have doomed myself to a perpetual cycle of spray painting, paint wearing off, spray painting, paint wearing off for the life of these shoes. So I'm not sure that I would necessarily recommend using Krylon spray paint on our shoes, unless they were extremely stiff shoes or boots. But even then, I suspect it's going to be scraping and scuffing off, and it's going to be a lot of upkeep. There is a paint that is specially made for leather, so I'm curious about that, and I think that's going to be my next experiment. So nothing to do with dyeing, but the biggest transformation, my biggest project that I'm looking forward to taking on is the Lisa Lounge. So I had to take a minute to figure out what it is that I wanted and what it is that I actually needed, and enlist the husband to give me some assistance. So I'm going to be taking that on, but I'm looking for when I have a long weekend and have some time off from work so that I can get that done. Another closing thought is I'm thinking about getting a wig. Hear me out. Hear me out. Here's what happens. I go to sometimes great efforts to make sure my hair is 100% on point to come on here and do these videos, And then it just never fails that that's the day when it rains or it's super humid or very windy or whatever. And I actually filmed this video earlier in the week, but then when I went to play it back, the sound quality wasn't great. And by then it was dark and I didn't have my natural lighting and this and that. But if I had this wig, that way, at least when I was on camera, consistently, I would look the same and my hair would always be together without a whole lot of hullabaloo. I don't know. What are your thoughts? So anyway, that is the video. Thank you so much for watching, and until we meet again, I hope your day is blessed and stylish.